My name is Ferguson, and you're watching What the F Are You Doing? Right?
Yeah. Okay.
What the F you are?
What the F are you doing?
What the F are you doing here?
Why are you here? Right. So, Moon, you are a writer, director, producer. I think in some of the stills I saw it, or was it just you running things, or are you also acting in some?
Yes, I had to peek in for our pilot for our party scene. I asked the crew to come in the '90s attire just in case. We didn't have enough background extras, so yeah.
So we can add address to that Slater title.
Background actress.
Background extra.
Yeah, professional extra.
Professional, whatever needs to get done.
Basically. Yeah, so that's why I was in the '90s attire with the side ponytail and the bamboo hoops and all that stuff. So yeah.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got started, and everything like that.
How I got started. How did I get started? With Juju itself or filmmaking?
Oh, filmmaking.
Oh, well, I've always liked movies and TV shows. I was that child who was always like engulfed in like a bunch of TV shows and TV. But I had a good balance. I had a good balance. I love books, so I was always reading. It was either I was always reading or I was always watching TV. So I had a good, healthy balance between books and television. I just liked stories in general, and I liked them in their different mediums. So whether it's visual or whether it's a book. So I've always been fascinated with telling stories, and I had an unfortunate childhood where I had to see a lot of unfortunate things. So being engulfed into television or living in Florida, I used to just be in the trees, the mango trees, reading a book, eating a mango, just to kind of like just escape everything. That was like my safe spot. And then I just started creating my own stories. In Florida, we had this thing called Florida Writes. It was like a standardized testing for in elementary school where you, based on how it was like a state test for writing. And I would used to get it was either like expository where you explain something like an essay, or it was narrative where you tell a story and its points, like the plot, the setting. Like we had points on what we had to hit, and I always got a 6. Fourth grade, my teacher, she would always like be excited for my prompts and stuff, and she was hoping that I got narrative. Because my narrative was stronger than my expository. I got narrative and got another perfect score, and I was like, oh, I like this. I like doing this. And I've always drew, so I would create my own little picture books with my drawings. And then in high school, it kind of wore off during middle school era. Then high school, it kind of picked back up where I would just find myself like creative stories. And just reading more and just like, maybe I can still do this. I would just write little short stories here and there. And film school wasn't an option because I come from a Caribbean household. I'm the first American.
Yeah.
First generation American, oldest of 5. So it was like, that was just totally out the cards. So it kind of died down also when I went to school, went to college. And then
so what did you actually study?
Biology. First it was nursing, then it went to biology, and then it was just, I was never really a science girl. I like science in a form of just curiosity and just knowing things. But then when it's time to like, oh God, like break down molecules and parts of a cell, I was just like, okay, this is where it gets uninterested and I don't care. But even as a young adult, I started to get wrapped up in movies and TV shows again, so it kind of came back, and I started writing little scripts here and there, always half-written, so, we all, us creatives, we have like half-written stuff. I had a child at 19, so it was like everything was like burying on top of like passion and all that other stuff. And then I went I was in school. I went back to school because I was gonna try and become a physician assistant. I was taking a few classes, and then I realized that the school that I was going to had like a film program. And at this time, I'm like 25, 26, and out of my mom's house. So I'm like, okay, well, she's not paying for my classes. I don't have to tell her, like, you know, I don't have to tell her that I'm going to this. I just wanted to try it out. So I tried out the screenwriting course, and then it was just like, it was like a basic screenwriting, talk about parts of the script and like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and I'm like how there was a science behind creating the film and all, and I was like, oh my god. So I went back to my boyfriend and I was like, I think I'm gonna go do this film program. And then he was just like, do it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I just started doing it. I told my mom eventually, and then she was just like, oh, well, I mean, she was like, whatever. But and then it just happened from there. I had to. Film school is such a commitment, so I kind of like scaled back on work, which was rough, especially in Florida. And then I just went through with it. So I was 26 when I did film school. I learned a lot. Then I went on to do a screenwriting degree online. Because film schools, my specific film school in Miami, it was more technical, like camera, audio, stuff like that. But I wanted to kind of learn more about the writing and creating, like, because to me, if you don't have a good script, what are we doing? If it doesn't make sense, if it's not compelling, if it's not powerful, then what's the point of like even producing it? So I wanted to become a stronger screenwriter, and screenwriting to me, at the core, I'm a writer. So for me, like, I like character-driven stories. I think that's why I lean more towards television versus film. Because, like, I like stories where you're invested in the character, where you either can relate to the character or you hate that you love this specific character, whether it's a villain, a bad person. And like me, for evil characters, I'm like, well, this person is this way because of it. Like, I'm always devil's advocate for the antagonist, and I wanted to create stories like that. So, yeah.
Do you feel the character is the first thing that comes to you rather than a story, or is there a story prompt that is there?
Well, the idea for the story comes to me, and then I'll write it down, and then I create the character.
Okay.
So, like, the storyline could be, like, so basic, like, Juju, 3 girls discover they're witches. That's what it was for me. Like, okay, these 3 friends find out they're witches. Okay, I put that to the side. Okay, let me develop these 3 girls.
All right.
So, yeah, it's mostly I come up with that basic main line of, like, a premise, and then I go to develop the character. And, like, you ask the cast, or at least the 3 witches, like, they had like 4 pages of like a character profile, because everything has to make sense. They have their dates, the zodiac signs, the time they were born, where they were born, their mom, their dad, their sisters, their brothers, college life, high school life. Why? Because everybody has a why as to why they make the decisions they make and why the person they are. Because that's how we are. So that's how I develop my stories.
Okay. Yeah. So the story is the chicken, the character is the egg.
Basically, yeah. Because you can have, 3 best friends who find out their wishes can go so many different ways. There's like so many infinite possibilities as to why that story is, but it's like if you create the characters in a way that people can relate to and like, or even hate, because even though we hate a character, we still want to see that character. And I think that's what makes a story great, like the decisions they make and why the things they do and why they do the things they do, why they talk the way they talk, stuff like that. So I think that's very important for a story.
Okay. One of the first things I saw on I went both to YouTube and Vimeo. there's the story Telltale, or it's like a modern take on Telltale.
Oh my
Heart.
God. That's like one of my first.
Was that in school or out of school?
That was during?
Mm-hmm.
That was during school because I had just finished a special effects class.
Okay.
And I was like, let me play with it. But yeah, that was during school. It was like complete. I was like, let me just do this real quick. That was during school. I was a substitute teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So we were reading like this kind of like, I don't want to say dumbed down, but you know that Time for Kids magazine that used to get in elementary school. So Time for Kids, that monthly issue had like a story, a Telltale Heart, but it was like they told it in like 5 paragraphs.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like for elementary school, and I was like, okay, well, what if this was one of my favorite stories.
For the miniature goth.
Yeah. I would just try it and play with like the special effects that I learned in class or whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was. Oh God, that was very.
Yeah, I was trying to place it because there's a conversation about who would you rather between Negan and Ramsay.
That was completely like improvised, and I wasn't even watching. I wasn't into Game of Thrones at that time, so when they did it, those are like 2 friends of mine. When they did it, I was just like, okay. I was like, whatever. I was like, just come up with something.
Yeah. It means so much. It's gotta mean so much more now.
Yeah, now it's like, oh God, yeah, I see what the hell they were talking about.
Because Negan was a little rough. It was like, oh my God.
And
like
Ramsay was just
it was, and it
insane.
was at a time when the world needed like hope. Mm-hmm. Like, and it had it been a year earlier, or maybe even a year later, we'd have been like, okay, I can mess with that. But 2016 for like the whole world, and then you have like something like Negan. I think 2016.
And I think that like, and then it's so crazy that they chose that because I watched it like a month ago or whatever, just going through my stuff, and I'm like looking at like, ooh, quality growth. It's so crazy that they even reference those 2 villains because what she's dealing with in the film, and she just like stuffed her roommate in like a box. So I was like, oh my God, like you guys are awesome. It's crazy how everything just happened.
It was an annoying roommate. I could see myself snapping. It's like, I just told you to be quiet. Yeah, so you went, so Telltale was kind of in school. Mm-hmm, and then around. Mental, was that after school, or was that like a final project?
No, that was after school. Mm-hmm. Mental was after school. How did I come up with that? Mental was after school, and it was just a battle of me going through my own depression. Okay. And like growing up, because as a child I had a therapist as well. Mm-hmm. And then just growing up, how it's just like, especially for West Indian, I know in general, like blacks, mm-hmm. we have this stigma, but this was from like a West Indian point of view, and like how that stigma is just like either they call you like a madman or like a mad woman or whatever, or like they just sweep it under the rug. You know, what are you sad for? What are you moping for? Why are you in bed? Get up, like go clean the house and like
go talk to your pastor.
Right, you have food, you have clothes, you have shelter. Mm-hmm. Like what the hell is like wrong with you? Like yes, you saw stuff that you weren't supposed to saw, but so what? Like, oh yes, you went through stuff that you weren't supposed to go. You're not the only one. It was like that.
Get over it.
Yeah, get
like
over it. Or just like playing out denial, or like that never happened, or stay in a child's place. And that's none of your business. So I saw how it like affect me, and then my uncle had a problem with, not a problem, but he has schizophrenia, and like what me and my mom had to go through, like to go find him and like Baker act him and stuff like that. I was like 8 months, 9 months pregnant, like driving all around Broward County looking for my uncle, my mom's brother, and he was like heavy into a church, very heavy into a church, and like basically like everyone just like casted him off, and because to them, I mean, this is me speculating because I just know how the church can be sometimes. The devil.
Yeah. He's possessed.
You're possessed. you know, it's maybe you're not praying hard enough. That's why the devil is coming to talk. Like just things like that, and versus it just being like, no, this is a scientific biological problem in my goddamn brain. Like it's not. No, it's everything. It's not working properly. So that kind of sparked it also for Kamal because he was schizophrenic and very religious, and you know he speak about the voices as God coming to him. That's why he's so comfortable with it, because you get so comfortable with the disease that when it doesn't happen anymore, you don't feel it. It's, you know,
it's a loss.
Yeah, because you become so comfortable with it. And then my sister, she has bipolar disorder, so we went through a lot with that with her. But I mean, she's fine. I had an episode based on that, but we didn't get to finish it. So yeah, it just comes from like how I see my friends, what they deal with, and what I deal with in family, and just, you know, the stigma on it.
Yeah, because you have 3 characters. You have Kamal, who has schizophrenia. You have Arya, who's learning to self-love, or she's going through a depressive period. And then Emmanuel, who basically has PTSD, which culminates in a like suicidal moment.
Right.
And so writing through each one, was it always intended to be 3 different parts, or is it something that came about through the writing process?
It was supposed to be 6 parts. But because it was my first project and I was super over ambitious and I kind of bit off more than I could chew, and then it was South Florida, and then like it's like there's a film scene but not really as big as this, so it was just like the reliability of people, crew. So it was basically, like I said, I did a Kickstarter for that one as well, and I raised money, but it barely did anything. You know, it was mostly like for food, equipment, and stuff like that. And even then, after that, I still was like coming out of pocket to do it. But it was my first time with Kickstarter, so I was like testing it out. So, like I said, I was over ambitious. I thought it would have been. They make it look easy. You know what I'm saying? Like they make it look so easy, and then when it's time to do it, I'm like, oh my god, okay, we need to cut this out, we need to cut that out. I can't get this. I can't get this location. So it was cut down to.
Yeah, that's my favorite advice someone gives me. Just go out and do it. Like, go out and do what? You mean I should grab a camera and magically everything will occur?
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a lot. It taught me a lot. I went through this project on mental health put me in like the most deepest depressive state of life, because it was so much drama around it. Not even just financially, but just like it coming together and the decisions that I had to make that best suited my project. You know, I got like called out for it. Like, you know, people are not gonna be happy with the decisions you make. So whether it's like to be recast or cut someone out, like it was a lot.
Do you feel, as a woman, because it's something I had to deal with, learning to be a boss on set?
Oh yeah, there was time. There was time. I've been told. I've heard that I was difficult to work with after that project, just because I had a set, like, it's not that what I say goes, is that I'm very strong-willed, and once I make up my mind, I make up my mind. Yeah.
Well, if you were a dude, like, no one would question
No one would question it, and it was a lot of, like, second-guessing, like a lot of things where the men on set were, like, tell me something that I can't do, like, or that's impossible. But then when I did it in front of them, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about, we can't do it, then they're just like, oh, okay, well, let's just get it done then. Like, instead of like, oh, I apologize or anything, it's just like everything was second guessed, and I was the only one who went to school for this. So it was like people who didn't even like just pick up the camera and self-teach themselves, which, I mean, no problem, because I'm still self-teaching myself with certain things. Yeah. But if I'm telling you that we can do something and I learned it in school and our professor showed us the plan and how to do it and how to achieve it. It was like 2 cameras, like to shoot a dialogue scene with 2 cameras, and like they're telling me like, you can't do that, you're gonna see that. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, we did this in class. We can do it. So it's like little things like that where they either challenge you what you know, or like tell you can't do certain tricks and stuff like that. And it's like, just listen to what I'm saying and just do it. So that kind of made me shy away also from it, because it's like, do I really want to deal with this? Like, constantly having to prove my knowledge and stuff. But I mean, right now, today, in this day and age,
deal with it.
You just have to deal with it. Whatever I say, if I say this is how I want it, this is how I want it. Like, don't try to. Yeah, you know, men, boys and their toys.
You can't do that. I can't do that. I've heard that as well.
Right.
From just rehearsal time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can make it. Well, I don't know if you could do this.
Right. Well, if you can't,
if you can't do that, I need to replace you.
No, that happened to me for mental, and then it's like I said, they ripped me to shreds. Like, they were pissed. So it's like, what am I supposed to do if you're no call, no show at like a regular job? What do they do? Don't you get fired?
Yeah. and learning to stand that ground between being nice and what you really have to do,
right,
as a boss.
Because it's time and money, and you know, it's time and money. and money that that I have to take away from my kid to put into. So.
Absolutely. And if they did this on a bigger set, which they would never do,
right,
it would be over.
Right.
So what advice, if you could give your younger self in that situation, or someone coming into that situation first time on set, to set the tone of how to regulate a set, what advice would you give?
What advice would I give? I have it at the tip of my tongue, but I'm trying to figure out how to word it. What people think of you is really not your business. And if you know your truth, stand in your truth, and you have nothing to prove, because at the end of the day, everything will unravel itself, and like, it'll just, you know, the truth will come to light. Yeah. So that was basically it. Like, stand your ground. Like, however someone feels, whether it's always insecurity. You're not there to make people feel. It's not your job to make people feel comfortable about what you're doing. Yeah. So basically, it was like a Kendrick Lamar line in his latest album, on that damn album. He said something about like something about your insecurities doesn't make me have to be humble, or something like that. Like, because you're insecure and you're not doing what you're doing with your life doesn't mean that I have to tone it down, basically. So that would be it, because I toned myself down a lot to satisfy like friends and like other people and stuff like that, because when they see you like actually doing something with your life, and like even get like little recognitions and stuff like that, it's you know, people will try to humble you. That's why I can't stand that word, like, oh, you have to humble yourself. It's the only reason why you have to humble yourself is because you want to feel better about what you're not doing. Yeah. So that would be my and I feel like to my younger self. True.
And I feel like humility is a misused word all the time. It's something someone tries. It becomes an insult, or it's something someone tries to place on top of you, where real humility, it's showing appreciation for the people around you. Right. That realizing that you didn't do it by yourself. Right. Rather than, I don't get to declare and stand in who I am.
Right. And you don't know what I went through. You don't know what people went through to get these projects off the ground. I've been on so many projects where like I have to like be the ear and like tell them it's okay, you know, the post-project depression is perfectly fine, you know, normal and stuff like that. Like the nights people are crying up 2 hours, 2 a.m. in the morning, you know, not seeing your kid on hours on end because you're on the set, and it's like, that is the humility of it all. So if, you know, someone decides to write an article about me and I'm like posting it on Twitter, or like say, hey guys, look, check me out, you telling me that I need to be humble for what? Like, why? Because, you know, a big publication decided to write about me. Yeah. After all the things that I went through to get to this point, no. So that would be my tip to my younger self, like, to hell with people. It's not your job to make people feel secure.
Absolutely. So now we arrive at Juju. which I heard about. I actually heard about it through Graveyard Shift Sisters, Ashley Blackwell.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I came to find out about it on an article. Speaking of articles, an article through that, which is a website for those of you who ever want to check it out. It's about black women in horror. I highly recommend it. And that's how I came to find out about it. So how did you get started with telling this story?
With Juju?
Yeah.
So Juju is my project right after Mental, because I haven't done anything after that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was coming out of my depression hole after Mental, and I didn't know what I didn't even know if I wanted to do another project. But I didn't know what my next project would be. I had just moved to New York from Fort Lauderdale, so I kept telling myself, I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna move to this new state, I need to produce. I need to produce something. I'm in this space. I need to produce something.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, 6 months went by and I didn't do anything. Just sulk in my bed. It was a very hard adaptation for me, especially coming from somewhere so sunny, like all the time. Mm-hmm. And then coming here winter and like I barely saw the sun. Like that was a very
as sad as real.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
I was like, oh my god, how do you live? Like there was barely any greenery. Like I'm so used to like the sun and greenery and everything. Even a lizard. I was like, I can't even like even iguanas. I missed. I was like, I missed the iguanas.
No, we have parks.
So
that's
right. So it took me a while to adapt, and then I was binge watching Vampire Diaries. Mm-hmm. It was on the last. It was on the last season. Yeah, it was on the last season, and I was just just bumming it, eating bonbons, binge watching, looking for jobs, getting that rejected, and then. I think I was like so upset about what happened to Bonnie's character. And I'm like, she didn't get anything. She didn't get a happy ending after all these years of, disrespecting her ancestors and doing all these spells to help
saving
the
all every
vampires.
2 minutes.
Like, I'm like cleaning up the messes that the vampires made. And I'm like, they took away her mom, her dad, her aunt, her grandma, her boyfriends. Every time she finds love, is swoop. And I'm like, wow. Like she was like, she's really just like their little pocket witch. So I texted my best friends about it, and then I'm talking to my boyfriend about it, and he was like, why don't you make something like witchy? And I was like, you're so right. And I thought about it, but like supernatural sci-fi is so daunting because there's another layer of editing on it, which is the visual effects. So, and then it's like, it's a battle of making it too campy, too cheesy. Yeah. Like, it was like...
Finding the tone.
Yeah, finding the tone. Like, how am I going to do this magic? Is it going to be like... beans coming out their hand? Like, what is there to do without it being cheesy? So I came up with an idea for one witch. It would just follow the character arc of one witch. But I'm like, if it's a web series, then it's going to be kind of boring and stuff like that. And then I came up with 3 witches. No, I started to watch Charmed again. I watched it as a kid, but then, it was packaged on Netflix. So I started to watch that. So I'm like, okay, 3 sisters. Okay. They get their magic from their ancestors, the Salem witches and stuff like that. They all have 3 different personalities, and then if I said, I don't want to do sisters, maybe I can do like cousins. And I'm like, cousins. So I did 3 best friends who just like, became friends in college from like design. Yeah. And then come to find out they're from 3 sisters, the original witches in their bloodline. So it was because I wanted to add so many layers, because I wanted to have so many seasons, so that when I try to sell it, I'm like, see here, I have like 8 seasons worth of story. Take this.
So when did it become a web series rather than when did you decide the story needed to be told like that rather than like a film?
Oh, I knew off rip it had to be a web series because there was so much. The story was, because I don't know how I would have packed it into a short film. or like even a feature film. So, and at that time I was like so engulfed into TV, the television writing versus film writing.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like obsessed with Shonda Rhimes. Like Grey's Anatomy is like one of my favorite shows because of the world building and how all these characters have their, even though it follows Meredith, everyone else is just as important, and like the stories and plots and all that other stuff. So I wanted to be kind of like that. I thought about it as a film, but I didn't know how to. The thing is, when I want something, I want it, and that's it. My mind won't go through it, so it's like I'm trying to condense it into it, because short film you can put into,
Yeah, I definitely just asked because I've made that mistake. Like with what I was writing, I forever and ever, like years, tried to make it a short film. And it was like, no, I want to be bigger. But I'm like, no, I can only do this. So it's kind of wonderful to hear from your end. It's like, no, I knew from the jump this needed to be a bigger story.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the thing is, you have to know when an idea is just short form and when an idea can extend. And I figured this idea could extend. As a supernatural story, there's so many layers of like supernatural tales and stuff, creatures that you can add into it. I love True Blood, so I liked, how they had fairies and because I was like, ooh, someone can be a fairy and a witch and a medium and werewolf, shapeshifter. So it was always a series for me.
Okay.
I thought about it as a short film to get into festivals and stuff, but I couldn't. I don't know how I would have
done it. Yeah, it's hard. Finding tone is hard. Finding story length is hard. And sometimes it's only at the end of it when you fully come to it. It's like, oh yeah, that needs to be a story.
Yeah, some ideas are films, and then some ideas are stories, and then for me, then some ideas are novels. So it all depends on what like my soul tells me. But this is my only series idea. Like I don't plan on doing any more series after this is short films.
So now we have Allie, Yaya, and Gigi, right? And so in that pilot episode, they're just coming into a birthday party, and then from there they learn that they're witches. Yes,
and the last line of the episode is "You three are witches."
Oh,
of that pilot. So, in the pilot, it's Allie's birthday, and she's turning 28. So, and Yaya and Gigi turned 28 earlier in the year. So they're born the same year, but of course different months. So when the last witch turns 28, that's when their powers come. So it's that whole pilot. You see Ada, who is their guide. Ada comes back from her time because she's the first witch.
Okay.
So that's their kin. She comes back and just because she's here for a mission that she doesn't tell them until probably like second episode. Not second episode, second season. It's mentioned in dialogue throughout the season because she like talks to the ancestors, so the audience will be like, oh snap, so Ada isn't really here to help them. She's here because she needs them to help her. New witches, like newborn witches. So that's taken, that's another storyline. So yeah, she basically the house party celebrating a birthday. The episode is called "One Time for the Birthday Witch," and it just basically shows like their power. They don't know that their powers are coming in, so it's like used differently. Okay. So Yaya probably feels something weird. Gigi used her powers and not know. Allie, she used her powers the morning after. So, but to them, it's just like a coincidence that these things are happening. It's not really in their head. So it's a lot of magic that goes on that they don't see.
Okay.
So it's kind of like if you see the pilot, you would not think that they're the main three characters until
the end.
Yeah.
So how are these ladies different, or who is Allie?
Personality-wise?
Yeah. Who is Allie? Who is Yaya? Who is Gigi?
So they're basically three girls that's kind of like, how the hell are these three best friends?
Mm-hmm.
Type of situation. Gigi is our femme fatale. She's feminist, sex positive, sex therapist. Like, she's woman empowered. Like, everything is what she does is for the women, advocacy, whether it's, rape, abuse, whatever it is. She's that girl. It's not that she can't stand men. It's just that she's kind of like a siren. Like, she just use and abuse them. Like, use them, toss them away. Like, if she wants sex, that's all she get out my house type thing. Because she likes to have the control, so she doesn't commit. She's not in a relationship. She has, like, dudes wrapped around her finger. Anything she wants, she gets. And she just has that natural, invigorating energy that kind of like poison ivy. Just like, they just come. No effort. And, she wears what she wants, whether it's a mini skirt, coochie cutters, whatever. Like, this is her. Don't like it, to hell with you. And she doesn't hold her tongue. So anything that comes to her mind, she just tells. She's tough love. She's very hard on Allie, who is our anxiety-ridden millennial. Allie's basically all of us. She's 28. She thought she would have been at a certain career, certain job, married, this, that, and the third. She's a whole bunch of self-doubt, afraid to go after what she wants. I think in one of the teasers, she's like, what sense does it make to switch careers? I'm already this age. I have to start over. So she's kind of just like battling, like, what the fuck I want to do with my life. And I'm 28. I'm barely making it. I have friends who are PhDs making all this money. I'm still like, an executive assistant. I thought I would have been a senior producer and, all that stuff, but afraid to go after the position because she feels she's not good enough. She works in corporate America, so we see her work life, where she deals with having to code switch and misogynistic, microaggressive white man boss and like coworkers and stuff like that. And I think that was important because that's something I went through in the workplace. We wanted to touch the hair and just a whole bunch of stuff. They come talk to you like, yo, what up? All that extra stuff that you just like whatever. And so Gigi is always tough on Allie. We'll stop complaining if you're not gonna change anything. Why don't you just quit? Why don't you just get a new job? All that stuff. And she's like, it's not that I can't do that. And then you have the peacemaker, the Rock, who is Yaya. She's very compassionate. She's very empathetic. She's very understanding. She understands both sides. She's spiritual. She's reasonable. She's always, she's the balance of it all. She wears her heart on her sleeve. She gives more than she receives. And we see that also where she's realized that she helps everyone deals with their problems, but then no one is there to help her deal with hers. And she doesn't ask for the help, but she just expects it. So, that drives her crazy. So that's who they are.
So getting back to the powers, because we talked about there's a whole other layer to that, which comes in sci-fi as well as action, that there's a separate story, which yours is a special effects story. So how did you go along with figuring that out once you have their powers? So what are the 3 different powers, and then how did you manifest that on film?
So there are 3 different powers. So Yaya, she's so their powers, I wanted their powers to go along with their personality. Yaya, she's an empath and a telepath, and she has healing projection, so she can heal, whether it's a person, she can heal like a dead flower, make it come back to life, and plants like helps her with her energy and stuff like that. So that's her, and she's a herbalist, and she owns a flower shop, and she sells weed and all that other medical marijuana or whatever, but she's very
CBD.
She's very holistic. Plants are her friends. She's very grounded. She's very earthy. So that's where her powers come from, and she's compassionate, so that makes her an empath. She can manipulate if someone is stressed out, she can calm them down.
Mm-hmm.
She can hear thoughts and, things of that nature. People can't hear. She can't communicate, though, through thoughts. That is easy to go on camera because it's just a bunch of voiceovers and sound effects. Mm-hmm. As far as the healing healing, that, still trying to figure out how we'll do that.
Mm-hmm. I just automatically imagine like light.
Yeah, me too. So we can play around with it.
Mm-hmm.
Allie, she's her thing is projection. So because she doesn't, the only thing she has control, she's a control freak. So because she can't control how her life is going right now, so that makes her depressed and have anxiety. But like her room is like, she's like a neat freak. Everything is in place. And like she's very big on like having control in her life. So the things that she can control, like she controls it to like the max. And if she can't have that control, then that's when like her anxiety is all over the place. So her powers is like body manipulation and control. She can make someone, it's not necessarily like mind control, it's like a physical control. So she can say like lift your hand up and the person will lift their hand up, but like they are present on what is happening.
Magical ventriloquist.
Yeah, like they know what's happening and they know it's not them, but it's not mind control where they're like consciously not there. Mm-hmm. And she, her words, like projection, basically, like she can say something and like it happens because it makes her she's in control. Mm-hmm. Not a spoiler, but she had like Allie is the one who goes off in the deep end. With the you always have one that kind of goes like too far.
Well, with that power, yeah, I would too. I would automatically become a supervillain.
Yeah. So in second season, I want her to kind of like go off in the deep end with the magic, because she finally have like the true control and power that she wants. Mm-hmm. Gigi's, she attracts. Because she has strong masculine energy. Mm-hmm. She attracts like the alpha men who, like those traditional men who like women are under them and all that stuff. She attracts the alpha men and she's able to control them and subdue them. So her thing is like mind control and compulsion, where she could just like look you in the eye, say something, and then you're her lackey. So that's her powers. She can't do it to women, only men. Those with like high, strong, masculine energy, she can control them and like have them do anything she wants them to do. Kind of like Poison Ivy, like when she does a little thing. I'm referencing Black Men.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of just like interesting because you think of like, oh, it would be automatically the betas, but like that could be an interesting turn in a story.
Yeah.
Where you have this beta man who should be under her control, if you think about it.
Right.
It's not under her control.
It's not, yeah. So, like, yeah, the men that's, King Kong beat on my chest, I am, the CEO, the ego. Mm-hmm. So that's who she wraps around her finger. Their powers grow and they'll have, like, new powers like any other witch, but as far as, like, right now, that's what it is.
Did you save that all for post, or were you already thinking, okay, we can do this, that, and the other practically, like, on set?
No, they were practically on set. So, like, her staring into the eye. Some of them will have to be post, just, like, little, like, the eyes and stuff like that. We have some, like, lights flickering in the first episode, and that was practical. Like, we had one person here with one light, and next person here, and just, like, going flickering. Or, like, we have wind also, so we had, like, a cardboard box just, like, blowing. So a lot of it I had to cut out just for this time of efficiency on set. And then, like, the thing is like, when you write a special effect, and then you start to shoot it, and then it's kind of like, we don't need that. We can probably do it this way, that way. So
yeah.
What I wrote was super cheesy when I was on set, and I'm like, oh no, this is not look good. Let's just cut that out and do that.
It's a constant change.
Yeah, it's always changing.
Because you just like realize, oh, this would be really cool. Oh, this This isn't gonna work. We don't even have that lens.
Yeah, like it's too much, and like there was one shot where I wanted like fog and all that stuff, and I'm like, no, let's take it out.
Yeah, you just keep it as simple as possible until like, or I remember, for example, doing a fight scene, and I had a stunt coordinator, and I remember kind of going in when we finally got to rehearse, and thank God I thought about it. I was like, but once again, having been on the set, but I went into the room because I knew where the set was going to be. I got to talk to my restaurant into giving me the space, thank God, and took measurements. So I was like, okay, we can't move here anymore.
Right.
And they were like, why? It's like, no, you don't get it. We only have this space because I can't do anything else with the place.
Right.
And then the camera is only going to be here. So you have you have this range to make it work.
When you're writing, you're writing as if you have like all the money in the world to do these things, and then like how you see it on in your head doesn't always come out to how the camera picks it up, or like you said, the space you have and stuff like that. And then like visualize when now you have the actual shot in front of you, and then you're visualizing it, and then it's like there were so many times on set I was like, oh, this is cheesy. Like, okay, no, how about we just do this? How about we just put in a sound? Or like, I was like, whoa, this is way too. I was like, oh no, Chile, no, we're not gonna do that.
So how do you, or have you had the experience yet of like when you don't have control over the environment? For example, you have to go into a place, but you can't change, anything. Speaking of like acting like we have all the money in the world, in your head, you're like, yeah, we could set decorate, we could do this and that, and then you go into the prop store with your budget, and it's like, I can afford 5 props, and that's about it. So, any advice for how, when you can't really control the environment, particularly in a fantasy type thing, how do you keep moving anyway?
As far as props, ask your crew members. Don't be afraid to ask the actors either, because even the actresses, they brought some of their stuff from home, and like the crew members, I was like, hey, do we have this? Do anyone have that? Does anybody have this? And you just bring them. They just bring them, and then you set it up. If you can't stage anything, I try to go to places that can already fit the staging, and I don't too much worry about that unless it's like a bedroom or something, like if it's a specific prop I need. But as far as like, say if I was to ask you to shoot in here, I would just leave everything as if and probably put like just one thing. So sometimes it's like you said, you can't, don't have control of the environment, and I just make it work. I'm like, well, I guess this is just what it is. We have to get it done. We have to get it done, but also just use your resources, like your cast, your crew. Like, don't be afraid to ask your actors anything, because 9 times out of 10, they want it to be just as good. So for Juju, everyone is so invested in it. They want it to look as nice as possible. So they're like, oh yeah, I can bring it. I can bring my pillow. Like, I needed a pillow like this. And like someone brought it, I needed a jewelry box. Someone brought it, one of the actresses. So it's like, just ask.
Okay.
And I don't know who's gonna see this, but don't be afraid to buy and bring it back. Please believe, because big productions do that too. Yeah. Like, because there was a lot from like Party City. I'm like, no, don't take off the tag. These party bowls are going right back.
Yeah, I can't confirm or deny that some props went back to Amazon.
Yeah, like you have to do what you have to do, So I see it as like a rental.
Yeah. What I felt was really cool about this production for this web series is that you were already able to have a crew, and then also have a writer's room, which is not something I usually hear about. It's usually 2 partners, or I came up with this myself. So what was that experience creating a DIY writer's room like at this level?
I think it was because it's a project that's not really seen or out there. Oh, well, at least on an indie level. A proud. A project that people can be proud of.
Yeah. Usually horror movies is like, I did that. That was my first movie. And, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, so the whole writer's room thing was, I guess it was like self-doubt in myself saying, I'm like, there's no way I can write like 6 episodes by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have the story there, but I love bouncing ideas because I'm not that type of person who's like, okay, my idea is great and that's it. Like only my idea and what I come with is going to be awesome. I like to ask people for other ideas because sometimes it could be like even 10 times better. Because there were so many times in the writer's room I was like, oh yes,
mm-hmm.
yes, that's so good. Like
mm-hmm.
let's do that. And it wasn't my own idea.
Mm-hmm.
It was like times like, and we did it through Google Hangout.
Cool.
We did it through Google Hangout. So 6 of us I think it was like every Saturday, like once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Saturday on like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and we just jump in and like, just say our ideas. So for the pilot, I told them, the pilot was like, it was supposed to be in so many different places, and it was like, I wish I kept the first revision, but it's like, we flipped so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's either through the pilot or like the Google chat room because like, technical difficulties on some of the girls' parts where like the video wasn't working or they weren't like accessible to a camera. So we did it through like a AOL chat room type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that worked kind of better because you can like look at the notes and all that stuff. I put out a post on Instagram looking for writers, and they had to like supernatural stuff. They had to at least watch something, like whether it was Vampire Diaries, True Blood, Charm, like, because I feel like it wouldn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you come on a supernatural show if that's not your thing? So and I